your forks and prongs, a knife, your spoon. My knife is kind of pointed. They really shouldn't be super sharp anyways, but you have an option to throw a welt in there so that it's hitting that welt instead of these stitches. And you can put wooden ones in here if you want to, but I'm working on another pattern that will hold these. And that pattern's going to do a few different things. I like to count back a few, that way I can tie a little knot. You can always just back stitch it or do it however you like. When you're coming from the back side here, sometimes it can be hard to find that hole, so you can just open it up a tad. Can help to form it just a little bit. Even if it doesn't hold the shape, you're kind of stretching those fibers out, letting it kind of get used to doing that. And with the boxing, you can kind of curve them over to the inside a little. If it's easier for you, you can start on a corner, or even when you start here, go around the boxing first, so you're not trying to hold it. But I kind of like to have it in that shape as I'm sewing. You can always take a little peek if you need to find it in between the layers. But a little trick I like to do is when the needle's in there, hold it so it's lined up through there good. That way, when I come back through with this one, should go right through easy. When you get to that last stitch, just go through, but in between the two layers, and same with the one on the back side, just to finish the last stitch there. I'll tie a little knot. I always like to add a little dab of glue, just to be sure as well. Little tap with the mallet. If it doesn't want to bend real easy, you can get a little bit of moisture mist bottle or something on the back of that. I'll go around this edge twice. And I'll come through the layers and tie a little knot. I basically did a back stitch too, but I'll still just do one little square knot. So there's a couple ways you can do this now. I added a welt piece. So if you have utensils you think are a little more pointy or sharp, adding this welt in will help protect that seam so it won't go right to those stitches. It'll hit the edge of that welt. I'll probably use this, not absolutely necessary, especially if your utensils don't have real sharp points or anything. Again, if you need to moisten that a little bit, I'd much rather you do that than try to force the bend. It can start to split here. So I think I'll do that with this one. I prefer these fine mist bottles. You have a little bit more control. And then I'll back up so it kind of fades that moisture out so I don't get water spots. That might have been a hair too much water, but it's bending real easy now. So you'll see it tapers in slightly, so it's actually the second to that hole right on that corner. Just make sure you're hitting the right hole when you start stitching. And I'll go right in the middle. Double check. Make sure it's lined up. Pulling stitches is no fun. I'm probably going to make it this way so it folds in, pockets on this side. But you can do it this way for the pockets. You can sew however you want, but since these are folding over, I like to flip this and go by the angle of these stitches until I get to about here. And then I'll switch at this corner back to these ones, since those will be showing when this is being displayed. Don't have to do that, just another little thing I like to do to kind of kick it up a notch. Oh, you can see I got a little too wet, a little bit of a water spot. Should be all right though. So you can see I was following the angle of the stitches from this side, like I was saying, so it shows and looks nice. Now when we get to the corner, what I'll do is just flip them back over, following the other side. So now for these stitches, I'll look at it from this side and follow the angle of the stitches. I just like to do it, not absolutely necessary, but if you were skipping this welt, you would just continue on from what I had going before. If you are adding it, it's just a matter of putting this piece in between the two layers. Same stitch and everything. With the extra layer, it does help quite a bit to hold those as you're coming through with the needle so that you can fall back through easy. I'll show that again quick. So you can peek and make sure you're hitting the right hole. When you come through, make sure that's nice and loose, coming straight through, and pinch right next to it. That way this other needle will fall right back. Real easy. Anytime I get to an end of a part like that, I'll take a look at the other side, because sometimes I forget to go over twice or what have you, just so I can make sure I do it exactly the same mirror or whatever it is. So with that, I'll go through again. Since this was the top layer and this is the underneath of the other part, that slit changes direction again. So from here to here, I'm going to change it up and then do the same thing I did last time so that it looks nice and clean all the way around as stuff's in there. Same thing I did on the other side, since this is going to be rolled over when there's stuff in it. I'm going to flip this so I can go with the angle of the stitching slits on this side that will show more. So while this design itself, I meant more for the iron tools, or eating utensils, I should say. Wood ones will work as well, but I'm going to work on another pattern for those. Like to have that just past that edge like that. And if you really wanted to keep it exactly at a certain point, you can put a rivet through there, but actually forming that a little bit will help. Do them however you want in there.